What happens when you mix superhero parodies, emotional flashbacks, and the deadliest Soul Reaper battles yet? You get Bleach Season 12, a season that swerves between Khan's comedy chaos and the brutal Espada invasion. From Khan's ridiculous transformation into Cape Kun to the explosive battles in Karakura town, this season delivers the weirdest tonal whiplash in Bleach history. And we're recapping all of it. Going back to the time when Ichigo Kurosaki, Uryu Ishida, and Yasutora Chad Sado left the world of the living for Hueco Mundo, with the help of Kisuke Urahara, the focus is now directed to the events that took place in Karakura town during that time. Urahara feels that Karakura town needs protection against hollows now that Ichigo left. In one night, he thinks of a fun way to protect the town. That is to force Khan into a team of hollow fighting superheroes called Konso Cop Karakuraizer. Once Khan adjusts to his new hero suit, he meets the rest of the team, which includes Don Kanonji, Tatsuki Arasawa, Chizuru Honsho, Keigo Asano, and Ururu Tsumugiya, along with Zenosuke Kurumadani. After a successful fight with hollows, the team encounters a woman who appears to be an Arrancar. The assembled team from the previous episode is to infiltrate a gate that the Arrancar are using to travel between Hueco Mundo and the world of the living. At the Hollow Fortress, numerous hollows attack the team. Kanonji and Ururu stay behind to fight the hollows on the outside, and the others enter the Hollow Fortress. Once inside, they meet one of the many Arrancars from Hueco Mundo. Chizuru uses her hyper-erotic powers to distract the Arrancar, and Keigo, Tatsuki, and Kurumadani take care of the hollows inside. Khan travels to the center of the fortress, where he meets a hollow and kills it with his razor beam, exploding and destroying the heart of the fortress and the fortress itself. In the end, Urahara erects a barrier around Karakura town and lulls its citizens, including the Konso cop Karakuraizer, to sleep. Sosuke Aizen, Kaname Tozen, and Gin Ichimaru arrive in Karakura town and are met by the remaining captains of the 13 court guard squads and their lieutenants. Aizen states how he is aware that he is not in the real Karakura town and says that after slaughtering them, he will make the Oken in the Soul Society. He says that Las Noches is in the hands of Espada Ulquiorra Schiffer, at which Ulquiorra appears in the throne room behind Orihime Inoue. Ichigo Kurosaki senses his appearance and he rushes to the fifth tower. It then goes back to the battle where the captains talk amongst themselves, when suddenly 1st Division Captain Genryusai Shigekuni Yamamoto unleashes his Shikai to trap Aizen, Tosen, and Gin. Back in Las Noches, the Exequias and their leader, Rudborn Chalute, temporarily delay Ichigo. Rudborn and his men attack, but are stopped by Chad, Rukia Kuchiki, and Renji Abarai. Ichigo continues on his way, eventually breaking through the floor into the throne room, ready to battle. Ichigo arrives in the fifth tower to save Orihime and confronts Ulquiorra. Ulquiorra unsheathes his sword and they begin their battle. Meanwhile, back at the replica of Karakura town, Espada Baragan Luisenbairn takes command since Aizen is trapped inside Yamamoto's fire prison. His first plan of action is to destroy the 4 pillars protecting Karakura town, and he sends out 4 giant hollows to do the job. Soul Reapers Ikkaku Madarame, Yumichika Ayasagawa, Izurukira, and Shuhei Hisagi each take 1 pillar, and after defeating the hollows with ease, are respectively matched up against Choi Neng Pao, Charlotte Chulhorn, Avarama Redder, and Findor Kalayus, 4 of Baragan's 6 fracciones. In his fight, Izuru manages to draw blood against his opponent, Avirama, who proceeds to release his Zanpakuto Agala. Meanwhile, Yumichika and his opponent, Charlotte, continue their fight, but the two spar while declaring the other ugly. Charlotte uses several attacks, which are able to injure Yumechika. When Yumechika manages to cut off some of the hair of Charlotte, the latter enrages and releases his Zanpakuto, Reina de Rosas. Now stronger than Yumechika, the fight escalates until Charlotte traps Yumechika in a prison of black thorns, which completely encases the combatants and their Reiatsu, hiding Yumechika's death from everyone. Upon hearing that his Reiatsu is hidden, Yumechika reveals the true form of his Zanpakuto, that of a sword with Kido abilities. With its power, he drains Charlotte's Reiatsu, claiming victory. Yumechika reveals that he uses a nickname for his Zanpakuto to avoid revealing its Kido abilities, so that he can fit in with the 11th Division, there being an unspoken rule against using them. The other fights continue elsewhere, and Findor reveals to Hisagi that he can chip off pieces of his mask to increase his power level. Izuru fights Avirama, whose resurrection turns him into a bird and enables him to attack Izuru with heavy steel feathers. Izuru uses his Zanpakuto, Wabisuke, to make Avirama's wings too heavy to fly. He then decapitates Avirama, noting afterward that he does not want to be forgiven. Hisagi has difficulty fighting Findor, despite technically being on the same level of power. When Findor releases his Zanpakuto, Pinza Aguda, and corners Hisagi with blasts of water, Hisagi reluctantly releases his Zanpakuto, Kazashini. With his Zanpakuto released, Hisagi overpowers Findor. Seeing this, Findor breaks off 90% of his mask, now making him much stronger, but Hisagi easily damages him. After overpowering Findor, Hisagi explains that Findor is inferior to him because Findor does not fear his own power. Findor makes a desperate attempt to defeat Hisagi with a Sero Blast, but is killed by Hisagi's Zanpakuto. Meanwhile, Pao is able to defeat Ikkaku and destroy the pillar he had been guarding. As a result of the pillar being destroyed, the real Karakura town starts to return, but 7th Division Lieutenant Tetsuzaimon Iba manages to stop it while his captain Sajin Komamura faces Pao. Pao knocks Komamura aside with a single punch in his unreleased state, and releasing his Zanpakuto, Calderon tries to finish off Ikkaku and Iba. Komamura, however, manages to overpower and defeat him easily with his Bankai. Iba reprimands Ikkaku for failing to protect the pillar because of his desire to avoid revealing his own strength. Baragan grows visibly angry because of the defeat of his Fracciones. Baragan's 2 remaining Fracciones, Ggio Vega and Nerge Parduak, offer to deal with the other Soul Reapers themselves, ending up facing against 2nd Division Captain Suì-Fēng and Lieutenant Miraculous Ōmaeda. The respective 8th and 13th Division Captains Shunsui Kyoraku and Jushiro Ukitake face Coyote Stark, but are unwilling to fight against his Fraction, Lilinette Gingerbuck. While 10th Division Captain Toshiro Hitsugaya begins fighting Tier Haribel, Lieutenant Rangiku Matsumoto begins fighting her Fracciones, who are able to defend themselves against the ability of her Zanpakuto by using the Sero Blast. While Ōmaeda struggles against Nerge, Suì-Fēng is able to pin Ggio to the wall and releases her Zanpakuto. Ggio manages to free himself and fights back against Suì-Fēng, chiding her for not finishing him off when she had the chance. He releases his Zanpakuto, Tigre Estoque, and continues fighting her, seeming to be of equal or greater skill. Ōmaeda continues fighting Nerge, and while it appears that Nerge can keep up with his speed even in his slower release state named Mammut, Ōmaeda reveals that he had only pretended to be slow, and manages to outmaneuver Nerge and bash him in the head with his Zanpakuto, Gegetsuburi. Despite this, Nerge gets up again, only to be knocked down again when Ggio accidentally knocks Suì-Fēng at his head. Suì-Fēng continues fighting Ggio and is pinned down. Nerge gets up and tries attacking Ōmaeda again, but he defeats him and tries to help Suì-Fēng. Ggio is about to shoot Ōmaeda with a Sero Blast, but Suì-Fēng breaks free and knocks Ōmaeda away before Ggio can kill him, revealing that she had hoped to study the resurrection form of an Arrancar before facing the Espadas. Ggio then responds by turning into his resurrection form to grow stronger, but Suì-Fēng kills him easily with the ability of her Zanpakuto. Rangiku fights Tier Harabel's three Fraziones, those being Emilu Apache, Francesca Mila Rose, and Tsayan Sung Sun. She struggles against them until 5th Division Lieutenant Momo Hinamori arrives, having resolved to fight against her former captain. Momo uses a Kido combination that seriously injures the three Fraziones, but they heal their wounds by releasing their Zanpakuto and use their left arms to create a strange creature that shares their traits. Elsewhere, Kyoraku continues his battle with Stark, but neither is willing to release their Zanpakuto. Lilinette attempts to fight Ukitake, but he is able to effortlessly block her attacks and tells her to give up. The fused creature named Ion is able to severely wound Rangiku and Momo with little effort, but Hisagi and Izuru arrive to save them. Hisagi attempts to fight Ion, while Izuru tends to Momo and Rangiku's wounds, but Ion overpowers him. Iba tries to intervene, but Ion pushes him aside with a zero blast from a hidden eye. It tosses Hisagi aside and advances on Izuru, but Yamamoto, disappointed that his men are unable to defeat it, steps in to fight it, wounding it with his staff. Ion goes into a rage after being wounded by Yamamoto and increases in size, but Yamamoto easily defeats it and Harabel's three Fraziones. Hitsugaya struggles against Harabel, who reveals that she is the third Espada and then hits him with a torrent of energy. Kyoraku fights Stark, who reveals that he is the first Espada. Elsewhere in Las Noches, Chad and Renji have defeated the Exequias, as Rukia is left to battle Rudborn. Ichigo continues his fight with Ulquiorra, and despite Ulquiorra's claim that Ichigo's friends and the Soul Reapers will be defeated, Ichigo has faith in their victory and continues to fight against him. In the world of the living, much of the main class is attending their first day at Karakura High School. Ichigo and Chad met and befriend Keigo and Mizuhiro Kojima while saving Keigo from some thugs. In the Soul Society, the lieutenants meet and decide to promote Renji to the lieutenant of the 6th Division and send Rukia to Karakura Town. Renji discusses his promotion with his friends, but decides to make it a surprise for when Rukia gets back. Rukia, after speaking with her captain and third seat officers, heads to Karakura Town at the same time as the first episode begins. The Soul Reapers decide to take a vacation to the ocean in the world of the living because Captain Byakuya Kuchiki destroyed the pool the Women's Soul Reaper Association covertly built in his mansion. After attending Ukitake's weak body from the heat, they form groups to produce works of art on the beach for a competition. Watermelon-like monsters attack and most of the Soul Reapers are helpless against them without their Zanpakuto until Yoruichi Shihoin and Suì-Fēng defeat them. It is then revealed that Retsu Unohana arranged the event with Byakuya and Ukitake as a game of splitting watermelons. Ikkaku and Yumichika travel to Karakura Town on an assignment to catch a hollow that had attacked a convoy in the Soul Society. The two travel to Ichigo's house, planning to stay there until their assignment is complete. Ichigo, however, turns them down and takes them to Keigo's house. Keigo's sister, Mizuho Asano, is all over Ikkaku until Yumichika glues a wig to his head. Mizuho gets upset and makes life difficult for the pair. After a falling out with Mizuho, Ikkaku and Yumichika camp outside instead. While Mizuho with Keigo to buy some juice, she is attacked by the hollow. After some difficulty removing the wig from himself, Ikkaku gets to the scene and saves Mizuho. The next day, Ikkaku and Yumichika prepare to return home. Mizuho knows Ikkaku rescued her, and both of them return to good terms.